Hello and welcome to Fanfiction Analysis with Emma Ibelli. I'm Emma Ibelli and this is my possessed computer V. I love AU fanfics. It's fun to explore all the different what ifs, from the simple, like what if Haley was placed in a different house, to the more interesting, like what if Altia actually spoke to her mother rather than assuming that she was replacing her, to the this is an actual AU fanfic and I am not making this up. What if Sanji replaced Sendai Katetsu? Yes, this is an actual fanfic. So it's in this fanfic, the universe have souls that can speak to their owners. Common from the one filler episode is the cook. AUs are a wonderful way to explore the different scenarios that never were explored in canon. And it's a great way to show how much you love the work in question. But of course there's bash fics, which is often set in an AU. But instead of asking interesting or important questions, it's what if so-and-so was an asshole who was evil, controlling, wanting to steal money, or keeping someone all to themselves. It's not about expressing love, it's about expressing hatred. The writer hates something so much about the work or character in question that they focus so much of their energy on this hatred. But why would they do it? Well, most of the time, but not always. It seems to be based around 3 reasons: shipping, character exaggeration, and because I'm sure everyone else does it. The first of which is shipping, which is the most obvious. A good example of this type are Lizana, who I covered before, as well as Ginny and Ron. Because they're either potential love interests, or they are the definite love interests. People don't want them to be the love interests, to the extent that they would rather focus all their time and energy onto making them horrible people. But the truth is, this is the one form of bashing that can be the most avoided. I mean, instead of having all your energy be put into hatred, you can just have them paired up with the different people. Take Ginny for example. You can pair her up with Neville. And if you don't want to pair her up with Neville because you want to pair him up with someone else like Luna, how about Lee? I mean, he's a funny character. He's friends with her brothers. And the girl he has a crush on at one point dates Vlad and ends up with George, so he's free. Go sit in the corner until you think about what you just said. Corner. Okay, this might have been a bad idea.
I tried to warn you.
Maybe you should come back. Maybe. But it's not always about shipping. There's also character exaggeration, which takes a negative trait of a certain character and turns it up to 11. I would talk about Dumbledore and give him as an example, but I've already have an episode dedicated to him. So let's talk Sakura Haruno. To them, she never changed. She never grew up. She never got stronger. To Bashfic writers, she is still that bitchy fangirl from the first half year's worth of episodes. Another good example is Akane Tendo, except instead of ignoring character development, they ignore something big that happened to her pre-series. I'm serious, only a handful of writers have realized what Kuno did to her pre-series. Getting all of the boys that have crushes on her to fight her every single morning? Yeah, that is super messed up. I'll get to it next year, but unlike with shipping, I can't think of any good ways to turn this hatred into positivity, other than yelling at them saying, "Stop! Stop this! This isn't close to canon! This is awful! This is just plain hatred! Stop!" And the last reason I could think of is because everyone else does it. And that's the one I honestly hate, because it actually feels toxic. A good example of this are both kinds of Long Boy Who Lives stories. Harry Potter, of course, and Naruto. Another topic for next year. These stories are just awful because they take parents who canonically gave up their lives for their children. But they are turned into horrible people who, at best, ignore their children, and at worst, abandons them. Honestly, I don't know why people like these stories. And it's just my theory, it's because everyone else does it. That, honestly, these people don't hate the characters. They're just pretending to, so that other people who, for some reason, do hate the characters will lead the stories. And I honestly hate that idea. That you're just doing this to spread hatred, not love. Even though it's something you do love. When it's about trying to be popular, you're not bashing the character because you hate them. It's because other people hate the character. And then it begins to spread around the fandom, making it a much worse place. And what's worse is that sometimes this hatred ends up affecting other people, not because of canon, but because of the story. Many years ago, someone outright told me they started hating Akane Tendo, not because of something she did in canon, but because someone else's fanfic convinced them. I believe fanfics are about love. It's about you lighting something of a story you love so much that you want to see new adventures, have the characters go through all sorts of things that could never happen in canon. But this is not about spreading love. Batchfics are about spreading the hatred. You put all this time and energy into exploring the hatred, and it just feels wrong. And I will read them, but not because I like them, because they fascinate me. And sometimes there are reasons to like Batchfics, like if you're lighting a parody or a satire. You're not lighting a Batchfic, you're making fun of them. That is if the writer has an extremely good reason for it. I have only encountered one person with a very good reason, the Cowardly Christian, who was well known for their Mabel Pines Batchfics. That reason? Yeah, it's a very good reason because Mabel reminds them of a relative who took advantage of their sister. A sister who is now deathly ill because of it. Do I like it? Of course not. Mabel's my favorite character. Do I think they should do it? Yeah, it's about getting out this anger and expressing it. I don't like it, but in this case, it needs to be done. And they know I love Mabel, so there's that too. So I guess I should summarize the point of this video. AUs are a form of love. They completely changed the canon, but in a good way. What if Luffy saved Ace? What if Princess Celestia had a different main six member as her apprentice? What if Ranma found a different spring? Batchfics are the same thing, but instead about expressing love, they're about expressing hatred. What if instead of unofficially adopting Haley out of love, Molly just wanted his money? What if instead of telling Lucy to stick with Natsu, She was insanely jealous and convinced Natsu to kick Lucy off the team. What if instead of vowing to get stronger, Sakura still continued being that jealous, bitchy fangirl? They honestly are two sides of the same coin. But when one side is filled with love and the other side is filled with hatred, you can see why I feel this way. But hey, no one's perfect, and I do admit I have done some minor bashing as well. I have let Dumbledore as super manipulative. Not evil, just manipulative. Also, I've bashed Don Clegg a bit. I made him super incompetent and getting curb stomped in at least one story. Hey, I should cover all my bases. Interesting. Not something involving this show, just an idea for Patreon. Anyways, I'm not perfect, so I can be a hypocrite at times. But when it comes to fanfics, I prefer those based on love, not those steeped in hatred. So I think that's it for today's episode. Later! Remember to leave a like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Also, support me on Patreon. The link is in the description.